Yes, our friend Nabil.
Okay. What is the significance of the International Women's Day celebration to the global community?
That's such a great question, and I'm curious to know how you celebrated, Nabil. But we'll get to that in a second. But ultimately, I think it's interesting because I'm going to say something, potentially a little bit, not necessarily provocative, but the idea of one day being commemorative. I'll come maybe to Mother's Day. I always kind of joke with my children that every day should be Mother's Day, not just one day a year. And so I try to keep that mindset in mind when I think about International Women's Day, that we can't only think about women's empowerment on March 8th, right? And then forget about it the other 364 days of the year. So it is very significant in the fact that because of the progress that we've made throughout history in terms of gender equality and the continued strides that we want to make, and the Malaysian government, the American government, many bodies have committed to this, that we need to continue to shine that light on the issue. So I look at International Women's Day as like a big bright light, that we're shining on the issue that helps to amplify the importance. And it's our job to continue to work day in and day out on different programs and projects that will make that gender equality a reality. So that's how I view it. But I'm wondering how you view it, or any other folks, or any of the other participants. What do you think about the importance of International Women's Day, and what are your views on it? I love languages, loved learning languages, and that's one of the benefits of working in diplomacy as well, getting to learn different languages. I actually must admit that I'm a very negligent Bahasa student right now. Bahasa Melayu. I need to study harder. I wasn't able to take as many classes before I came to Malaysia, so I'm sticking primarily to the greetings right now. So I should have said Jabatan semua. But again, at the end of the day, I just think it's so important to connect with people, in a language that they speak every single day. And of course, around the world, most people speak at least 2, 3, 4.
Live to college students, and my ambition is to be a teacher, maybe devote to that. So I want to be a teacher because I want to follow my parents' footsteps.
Your parents are teachers. That's so wonderful. My mother was a teacher. She's retired now. And it's such important work. And it's just one of the most important fields. We need wonderful teachers, like you feel. And so I wonder, what field would you like to teach? English or science, or what are you interested in?
I like to teach geography.
Oh, I love geography. I was in a geography B, like a competition when I was in middle school, and I was crushed because I didn't win, and I got out on a country that is very large, and so I should have known it, but it was Mongolia, and I still remember where Mongolia is, of course, because that's the country that disqualified me from the geography B, but it's a very, very important field, particularly when we're talking about how the world is becoming a smaller place, and peoples and countries who used to not communicate because of the distance, now everybody is communicating more. So it's important to know where different countries are, and different landscapes, and the different makeups of the world, and all of that. So that's fascinating. Thank you for sharing.
Dr. is the Minister of Women, Family and Community Development. So is there any specific leader in charge of women's affairs in the United States of America?
That's a really good question, because actually we don't. We do not have a ministry, or as we call it, a department of gender or of women in the United States. It kind of goes back to this idea that we don't necessarily have like a quota system or an overall policy, domestic policy focused on women. We do have a number of resources and tools, though, that I can just quickly mention. In the State Department, which is like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs where I work, we have the Office of Global Women's Issues, which is a really great office that looks at different ways that we can cooperate globally. And so that's more of a foreign policy perspective. Then in the Biden-Harris White House, as we call it, in the new administration, the new government, they've declared that they're going to start a gender policy council, which will be focused on gender and how it relates to both domestic policy but also foreign policy. So domestic policy, like issues related to childcare and the importance of childcare and gender pay gaps and reproductive health and all of these important issues that affect both men and women, and really making them a priority within the government. So that's how we look at it in the United States, but no, we do not have a ministry equivalent. So thank you for that question. All right, I will pass it over to Nisa, and thank you everyone. It was so wonderful to meet you all. Terima kasih. I don't know any other. It's such an honor to meet you all, and keep in touch, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.